your snack, Homunculus, and thank you for duplicating the mushrooms. We'll put that in the cauldron. Some water, some glue sticks, just random items we put in. We're going to turn that all up, and oh, look here, I made a successful item, and it's the Escha Logy Alchemists of the Dusk Sky. And if you liked this little presentation here, you're probably going to like this game. If not, it's probably going to be pretty tedious. Watch my review and find out. So I've been playing this game for a while now, and it's basically an anime series that got canceled in the first season and didn't get picked up for a second season. Everything's pretty much standard stuff that you'd see in an anime. But I'm going to start off right here looking at the Homunculus, which is pretty much the mascot, the, obligatory, little mascot like Pone or Ryo-Oki. Basically, that's what they are. But they allow you to duplicate items, and this game is all about items you take and reproduce and make quests out of. And anyways, to make the Homunculus do its job to duplicate items, you have to go on little quests that aren't really quests at all, but rather tedious, monotonous tasks that are repetitive that you have to perform over and over again. And here I am just doing that and getting the little sweets that these little homunculi like to eat in order to reproduce your items so that you can make more items to feed the homunculus some more. And this guy, he's a real jerk. Anyways, here's what we call the Atelier. This is where the alchemists do their work. The alchemists are, of course, Escha and Logy, who are in the name of the title. And let's put together something here. Again, the items all seem random, and as long as I've played the game, I still don't quite understand what all the properties and everything means, even after reading through all of the tutorials and going online. It seemed like the tutorials online really didn't quite have a full grasp of how the whole system works either. So again, you just put in random items that seem to come up, and you try to make the best with what you got. And that's what I pretty much did. Pretty much there is a way that you can abuse this system that I have found, and that is there is a way to make really high-grade items that you can then sell for lots of in-game currency, and that is really pretty much the most useful items that you can get, and that's why I go to the homunculus and make them reproduce them for basically peanuts and make a lot of money, and that gets through the game's somewhat more tedious money-gathering process. And here I'm trying to make a music box, and hey, there we go! I made it, just like I made the game at the beginning. And here you see there are different properties with which to imbue onto the item, and now you have your item, and everybody's happy. Anyways, let's go out and do some little questing, so show you what the battle system looks like. There are different enemies that you can battle, and it fulfills quests, well, requests. So let's go out to the world map, show you that. Yeah, it's nothing special, and it's just different dots on the map. And then you go about little tiny areas, basically, and you get random enemy encounters. And here we're going to see some fighting, and the fighting is all turn-based. There's not a whole lot of strategy, and actually some of the character actions for their attacks gets rather repetitive and pretty long. As you can see, it takes a long time for that little girl to throw out her bottle of medicine, which somehow damages people. I don't know how giving medicine to an enemy would hurt them, but apparently in this game it does. And every once in a while, when you're on this little map, you get these little options up that come up on the left, and I'm going to take that option to fight a harder enemy to show you maybe a little bit more of the battle system and how long it takes. Here we go.
Shall we begin?
Alright, here we go. Harder enemy. A little bit longer for the battle system. So again, turn-based. Some of your party is in the back, and you can call them forth when you need them. Also, as you're fighting, you can basically use what amounts to spells, and you can also call up
your friends from the back row, like Arwen here, who's like a steampunk engineer kind of deal. And here he goes using one of his spells or special techniques. And yes, it's speed lines and all very anime-like, and you weeaboos are probably just loving this. If you're not a weeaboo, you probably are not. And if you don't know what a weeaboo is, I'm going to let you look that up for yourself. Because there's probably a good chance if you clicked on this that you may in fact be a weeaboo. So there we go. And it just goes on like that. Yeah, you can basically, your characters can stand in to help mitigate damage, and or after your little gauge on the right gathers up, you can then have them add in an additional attack. And that's really how this whole system works in order to build up your attack levels. But every time you go to add in an extra defense, it brings the bar down, so it really makes it kind of hard to build it up. The two alchemists in the game, Escha and Logy, whom you can both choose at the beginning, they get to use items while your other party members cannot. So that really stems into some strategy because you can't actually have your other players heal. Yeah, kind of tedious to not have your other players be able to use items, even though you spent the entire game making items. It really is annoying. Anyways, this battle is won, so let's leave this and go on to a quick edit to another part of a battle that I didn't get to show, which is you have, after a while, you get hit enough or you hit enough and you get your special attack, just like that. Very anime-like, and we'll go through the whole sequence just so you can see it. And yeah, even though you do this technique and there's going to be a big hole through there, yeah, it might not actually kill the enemy. But anyways, this game is a very strange basis. It works on this system where you're basically doing a job. So it's the job of being an alchemist, and your job is to make items and then go kill creatures and then go and explore ruins, which apparently in this world is literally all over the place. Which is good because you need to gather more items so that you can do more of the same. This is the boss for Escha and Logy. I'm just letting you kind of see how this all plays out, and it's basically like a whole lot of slice of life, and the plot moves incredibly slow, and I don't quite understand what the point of it is. Not a whole lot of drama going on here. I mean, it's really like slice of life stuff. I mean, there are some anime that are like this and people are into it, but when going into a game, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And you might be thinking, looking at Escha, oh, just cute little girl, but she's actually just really reliable and a good fighter, and that's really always very nice. And of course you want to complete all the assignments that you can, because you get bonuses, but I don't know, it doesn't really matter all that much in my opinion. Basically the boss gives you one main assignment and you just have to be able to complete that, and if you don't complete the other ones, it doesn't really matter, but it gives you something to do during the game because everything's based upon a calendar and amount of time that you have, and of course they're always like, oh, you gotta get it done before the end of the period, and the thing is, like, really, it gives you way more time than you need to complete everything. And anyways, here's Miriam giving us the next assignment, which is to save the orchard. So basically we're going to be going around making items to save the orchard, which is fun because you get to make some fertilizer. Yep, pretty much you could have just taken a dump and completed a portion of the game. Yeah. Anyways, let's get through this to the next little edit that I have set up. Yeah, pretty lame little jokes here and there. And so here's a look at, yes, your assignment board. You got to complete at least the one in the middle. The other ones around it are pretty important to be able to complete, and they're usually pretty easy. It's either gather these items, fight these many enemies, fight this specific enemy. It's not really that complicated. It's certainly not any type of epic quests that are given, at least from the game that I've played so far, and I've put in quite a lot of hours into this game. I don't know why. There's something about wanting to complete it. And it's kind of like watching an anime, and I don't know, I've probably played it a little bit too long. Anyways, instead of going to the usual, to the another backdrop, I'm just going to do my review and score right now. And that way you can watch some more of the gameplay. Stunning. So I use the 1 through 10 scale as developed from the magazine Game Informer, and it gives it a pretty good comparison. A lot of other gaming critic magazines and websites use the same kind of thing. And I'm going to give this game a 6.5, and you know what? I'll give it a 7. Everything works really good. It's like an anime. It's just not going to appeal to everybody. Certainly if you're a weeaboo, this game is probably an 8. But I would probably much less say that it's not really an 8. Because if you don't like anime, then this game doesn't have a whole lot to offer. It's quite tedious in terms of all the items that you have to get. The quests aren't all that great. The plot really is nonsensical in terms of there's not a whole lot of reason to cheer for either one of the main characters. And sure, there's lots of characters that are likable, but they don't ever really develop them a whole lot. And it goes very, very slow. Everything's technically sound. The music is technically good. They do give you the option to change the background music to previous games in the Atelier series, which is quite nice, and I do appreciate that, so you don't have to listen to the same boring score all the time. So as a bonus, I'm going to include the opening sequence, which has the nice song and video at the beginning. Bye-bye.